everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to try and attempt a sketch in 10 minutes. I know that's pretty hard because it includes like the sketching and the watercoloring, but anyways, I'm just gonna start the timer and we're gonna let this sketch go, and let's go. So here we are, we're at this place called Daegun. It's basically like a refurbished former police headquarters slash prison. And if you see, this is actually where like the prison is, like one of them at least. And aptly, there's like literally a bar there inside now. It's called Behind Bars. So I've been in this bar like once, way back in like 2018, I guess, maybe when it first opened. And it was this like new swanky kind of like bar where all the drinks are kind of in like little tiny cells. So your group, basically you get to have your own cell. It's really great for like a Halloween party as well, which is what I was here for. And then everyone is like dressed in costumes and such. But anyway, I digress. This is like a really big, well, for Hong Kong, it's quite big. It's a pretty spacious spot here in the middle of Hong Kong in Central. And this is just kind of like enclosed within the Central Business District because there are like buildings all around us. And everything has been kind of like repainted. And I think structurally they probably did a lot of checks to make sure that it's sound, that the building is still of pretty good quality from when it was built, like way back when. I think maybe, I don't know if it's in the 1800s, but like the 1900s, early 1900s for sure. And this place is now refurbished to be kind of like a very arts and cultural center. So there's like exhibitions going on right now in like a museum. There's this little concert space as well where people can go come and perform, and I think it's kind of an open space so people can use it for different things. I previously worked at like a literary festival here in Hong Kong, and we have hosted some of our talks here because this is kind of like the new up and coming arts and cultural space that is available here right downtown in the middle of the city. And this area kind of spans maybe about like 2-3-ish levels. There are a bunch of restaurants as well and a lot more bars, and here we are in this area called like a prison yard. And the reason why I'm sat here is because there is a lot of space, and I thought it would be fun if I could sketch something. And there tends to be less people up here because everyone else is downstairs near the bar where the crowd is hanging out. And speaking of, I'm actually going to one bar, not in Daegun, but like a little bit outside later for dinner, and that's basically why I decided to park myself in this spot to sketch. Which, speaking of that, a 10-minute sketch is really hard to do because I could see that I've already spent about 2 minutes just penciling the stuff in, and I think that's not a great start. If anything, I should have thought it better. I should have started with the brush and watercolor straight away, but I was not, I'm not the best at like drawing mentally, so I thought that the pencil lines were like super essential and I need that, so I tried to get that in, and that's what I kind of like started off with. So like pencil sketch, and I tried to keep everything super simple too. I didn't want to play around with perspectives because I knew I only had 10 minutes, so I wanted to be straight on, like pun intended, but like tackling the subject straight on, so everything would be symmetrical. And then it's so simple, right? There's only 2 windows vertically aligned and then a door at the bottom, and everything is very symmetrical left to right, so that's what I decided to do. And then I started with like the light background color, and then this is something that I didn't expect myself to go for until I actually did this challenge, but I dug into like my colors immediately and tried to get like the thickest color, and that's what I did. I like literally just had like the thickest color on it, and that's probably one of the rare times that I actually go straight into the pan. Because what I'm realizing, right, like with this brush, this is my Kowiko and it's not the Escoda brush, and no, sorry, this is my silver black velvet brush, but anyways, this is kind of like a kind of brush that holds a lot of water. So what happens is whenever I add just like a little bit of water or like to the mixture or to my brush, I unknowingly pick up a lot of water and a lot of moisture, and what ends up being on my page is like really wet washes, which is great for when I need them. But most of the times I kind of want thicker washes. That actually makes me think, like, should I change to a less like water absorbent brush? Because if I'm going to be doing quick sketches, which I do want to do, and I also want like thicker layers, should I have like a less absorbent brush? I'll actually experiment with that, and like maybe I'll show you guys, or maybe I'll just do a few tests at home and figure that out, because now I'm like really curious if changing the brush would change my sketching style. Wait, of course it will. Of course it will change my sketching style, but I just want to know how. But anyways, back to the sketch. I think I kind of oscillated between wanting to just do the subject in the middle, which is this E-hall right here, which you can't really see because it's blurry. And I also wanted to experiment with including in the background. And I think, I don't know, I think a part of me just thought like the orange would stand out if I include the background. So I did. And even with that, actually the orange was not like a pure orange. I tried to mix it in with like some blues and like some reds. And basically I just try to use like the palette gray, which is basically the gray that you get from like whatever is there on the palette, and just try to mix it into my washes. And I think what I get from all these like palette grays is that I always get like these somewhat neutralized or more desaturated colors, which is great because if they're a little bit murkier, it makes it look more natural, even though that's what I think, right? I think it looks more natural, and then the sketch comes out and I think it's like really, really freaking bright. Like the colors are so vibrant. But I guess it might be to do with like maybe like the camera saturation as well, because it tries to pick up contrast and therefore it picks up a little bit more vibrance. Anyways, I was digging straight into the pan. That's what I was saying. I was digging straight into the pan to like create these outlines and these like darkest darks immediately. And now I realize I should probably do this more often, to like immediately go for these darkest darks. I don't know, I was inspired by like Gavin Snyder, and I could see like his darks or his shadows were like really dark, so I wanted to emulate that. And I don't know his process at all or exactly. All I do is I just see his photos on his Instagram and I try to kind of look at it. Like I try to figure out what I like from it, and I like that he is able to create shapes with like shadows only. And I'm really curious about challenging that, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I really love negative space. I just think it's so beautiful to have something said without it being said, just to kind of like let the viewers or the readers like fill in the blanks. And I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do in your art creation, is just to have the viewers kind of like work on seeing your stuff, but you're actually given all the essential toolbox to see it, but nothing more. And I think I want to be able to harness that power. So I'm just currently learning, but I don't think I did a very good job, because I'm doing a little bit more of an outline, which is not much of a negative space because I'm drawing and everything, but I guess this is where we start and then we go from here. So I try to put these darkest darks at like literally the bars here, because as you can see, they're quite dark. They're quite dark right here, and it is, I think, a good chance for me to splash in, not black, not pure black. I did mix it in with like a tiny tinge of blue. I think it's because like when you look at these blacks, they're never truly black. Like they're always like a mix of other colors, and they're also a mix of not just pure one color, but often it's a few, and there's always like these color temperature stuff, which is color science, and you guys are not here for that, at least not now. You guys are here to figure out how to do a 10-minute sketch. Yeah, so I think 10-minute sketch, what I realized as well is I ended up merging a lot of the shapes. So like these whole side area, I ended up putting this all in one shape. I ended up grouping the buildings to one shape, grouping the sky to one shape, and even I don't think there's an edge between the sky and the buildings, because that does not matter. The focus of the sketch is this building, and therefore the focus will only remain here, and that's where this will have the most detail. And spoiler alert, 10 minutes is really, really, really hard. So if you guys are attempting it, please let me know how you're doing below, or what your thoughts are, what your takeaways are. Like, how do you sketch for 10 minutes? Like, what are the things that you prioritize when you're sketching 10 minutes? And when I was putting in all these darkest darks, I did contemplate actually like bringing out my fountain pen. But I didn't want to do that because I knew my sketch was kind of wet, and I didn't have time to wait for my sketch to dry, because then again, we only had like 10 minutes. So that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm just now focusing more on the details. And because this is an overcast day, kind of like late in the afternoon, it's 6 p.m. now, and I started at about like, well, I guess 5:40-ish when I got here and tried to analyze the subject. There's not a lot of shadows that's happening, apart from this like really top down, so like kind of like underneath this windowsill, but that's about all the shadows that I could get, and a little bit underneath the rooftop. So I didn't have to spend that much time walking in the shadows, although if there were shadows, I don't know if maybe it would be easier for me to kind of like block out the shapes, perhaps. Will that ever happen? We will never know. But anyways, we are, I think, closing to the end of the sketch, and surprise, surprise, I don't make it to the 10-minute mark. I think we're kind of almost there, you know? So I just try to like plop in a little bit of details, just try to get in as much as I can. And I didn't go over 12 minutes, I think, but I don't know. It'll show up in the edit if I did go over 12 minutes. But it was a fun experience. I think what I ended up with was a little bit of a childish looking sketch, but at the same time, I think I should do more of these. You know, I should train myself to get these sketches in faster so that I could get in more reps. And maybe even do a couple more sketches instead of just one. So maybe instead of one 30-minute sketch, I'll do 3 10-minute sketches. So this is something that I'm thinking of incorporating into my art practice, just to shake things up a little bit and vary it around, and making sure that I'm getting the learning that I want to get out of each session. And I think it's important to basically come into each practice session with an intention. And in a way, it's like what I want to work on, and at the same time what I want to share with you guys is going to be the same intention. Like if it works out, then it's going to be a great success story that I can share with y'all. And then if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a failure, and I can figure out why, so that next time I can do better. And also share that with y'all. Like the beauty of storytelling in YouTube, right? Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. I think I've taken up more than 10 minutes of your time, so I apologize. Thanks so much again for dropping by. I'll see you again here this time next week, same spot. Bye!